Sponsored by rxcardclub.com. Get a free prescription drug card and save up to 85% on prescription drugs. rxcardclub.com. Piastri wins Azerbaijan GP as Perez and Sainz crash in late scrap for podium. Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc spent much of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix dueling for the lead. Oscar Piastri held off Charles Leclerc to deny the Ferrari driver again at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The Monegasque qualified on pole in Baku for the fourth year in a row but had not converted any of the previous three into a win. And it happened again on Sunday as Piastri dove up the inside into turn 1 after the first round of pit stops. They spent the rest of the race locked in an intense duel for the lead, but every time they reached the end of the long doctor's zone, Piastri had enough to keep the Ferrari behind. And so it was a second career victory for the Australian while Leclerc is still waiting for a maiden win in Baku. Leclerc might have even lost second place as Sergio Perez pushed on the penultimate lap, but Carlos Sainz was also sniffing around and, as they duelled for third, they collided and crashed out spectacularly to gift a surprise podium to George Russell. Lando Norris pulled off a spectacular drive to eventually rise to fourth and get the better of championship rival Max Verstappen. And there were points for both Franco Colapinto and Oliver Bearman, who both impressed in their second ever F1 races. Leclerc had hoped that teammate Sainz, starting third, would be able to get past Piastri into the first corner to help Ferrari control the race. But the opposite happened. The Spaniard lost out early on to Perez, who was on a mission at his favorite F1 track. Not that Leclerc needed the help. Despite having the fast McLaren behind him, Piastri was unable to get within striking distance and was soon dropped by the Monegasque, who was 6 seconds ahead by the time he headed to the pits for the first time. But Piastri had stopped first and McLaren made the undercut work wonders. On lap 20, the Aussie made full use of the doctors down the long start/finish straight to then dive up the inside of the Ferrari into turn 1 and did enough to keep hold of the lead. And all that battling was playing into Perez's hand, who had lost some time behind Alex Albon, who had gone long on his hard tyres in the first stint. But the Mexican was hot on Leclerc's heels, as the Monegasque pointed out. They are pushing like crazy, or they have more grip than us. Norris had climbed up to 5th, having started 15th, but also had not yet pitted. Like Albon, he had opted to start on the hards and go long in the hope of a safety car. The Briton was powerless to stop the Ferrari of Sainz flying past, but was able to defend against championship rival Verstappen, frustrating the Dutchman on newer tyres. He was soon on the radio to complain, "My brakes are not working." His day wasn't as bad as Hamilton's though. The 7-time F1 champion had started from the pit lane after taking a swathe of new engine components, but, by the midway point of the race, had only managed to climb to 14th in the Mercedes.